Good morning, I'm Charles Osgood, and this is Sunday Morning. Recent advances in medical science are easing the suffering of countless Americans every day. Yet along with all the good comes a measure of the bad, an increase in the number of people who suffer an overdose. Not an overdose of illegal drugs, you understand, but prescription drugs, as Tracy Smith will explain in our Sunday Morning cover story.
The White House calls prescription drug abuse the nation's #1 drug problem. But that's not news to the Florida police trying to get a handle on it.
Do you feel like you're chipping away at it?
Barely.
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 Or for the families of overdose victims.
And there's not a day goes by that I don't miss my son.
The prescription drug epidemic, later on Sunday Morning.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 American dies of a drug overdose every 14 minutes, with a rapidly increasing share of those deaths caused by prescription drugs. It's the sort of statistic law enforcement officials in one Florida county know about all too well. Our Sunday Morning cover story is reported now by Tracy Smith.
This is what we've been doing for the last several months. There's really no change.
It's another day, another drug patrol for Pinellas County, Florida sheriff's deputies.
If you need help, ask for help. You'll get it.
Just be safe and let's go out there and get them.
Instead of chasing drugs from abroad, police say their biggest problem now comes from a doctor's office. This is police surveillance tape of a pill mill. There are dozens in Pinellas County. It looks like a legitimate treatment facility, and it's run by a licensed doctor. But these are really a sort of cash-only convenience store for prescription painkillers.
People literally line up in the morning, wait for the doors to open. They swarm inside, and I hate to even call them this, get in to see the doctors, because they're really not doctors. Again, they're people who hold a medical license, but they're really not practicing medicine. And you pay a cash fee.
They're drug dealers.
They're drug dealers.
After years of spotty regulation, Florida is awash in prescription painkillers, like OxyContin, the brand name for oxycodone. And the effect has been lethal. In Florida alone, 7 people die of prescription drug overdose every 24 hours. And nationwide, drug overdose has now overtaken auto collisions as the #1 cause of accidental death. Lisa Roberts is a public health nurse.
I think we have to realize that this is the first time in the history of the world that we have had a public health epidemic of death, disease, and destruction that is actually being caused by health care.
10-4 office manager appears to maybe be taking photos of your car.
When we rode along with the Pinellas County Sheriff's deputies, they were focused on a suspected pill mill.
So it's a pain clinic that's a cash-only business?
Correct. They also have an armed security guard that walks around the parking lot.
Who do we have for the office on this Explorer? We're going to have to kind of single these out.
Shutting down the doctors who run pill mills can be a marathon legal process. So in Pinellas County, police also go after clients as they leave.
And if the detectives can get them for the smallest violation, maybe they don't put their seatbelt on when they drive away, that's a reason to pull them over. And most of the time, something else is going on in that car.
Stand by. Northbound now, no seatbelt.
Police follow the car for a few blocks, then pull him over for the seatbelt violation, and find he's carrying a handful of prescriptions. They suspect this patient may be a prescription drug dealer, going from doctor to doctor, stockpiling supplies.
So all the ones you got today?
After a few phone calls to the doctors, he's arrested on suspicion of doctor shopping, a felony that carries a jail term of up to 5 years.
You're going to be arrested for doctor shopping.
Cops admit it's tough to shut down a business when there's money to be made.
How profitable are these pill mills?
No, they're very profitable.
Chief Deputy Bob Waltieri.
Because you can go to a local pharmacy and buy a generic pill for about $1 a pill. You could sell it locally on the street for $15 to $20 a pill. You could take it up north in some places and sell it for $30 a pill. So they're very profitable.
From Florida, the drug traffic moves north with interstate speed as addicts and dealers bring pills back to their hometowns in other states, a phenomenon known as the Oxy Express.
It has truly crossed over into mainstream middle-class America as a prolific addiction.
Lisa Roberts has watched the number of pill addicts in her town of Portsmouth, Ohio, skyrocket.
Our mindset is that these are medications and therefore they are safe. And so people tend to take them very casually, whereas a person would not consider doing heroin. They would consider and be encouraged to take a pill.
Jason Davis never used any drugs until he hurt his back, started on painkillers, and couldn't stop.
Before you know it, he was hooked.
His mother, Patty Davis.
He would do anything for anybody, just for me. You know, after my husband died, Mom, I'm there for you. Don't worry about a thing. And it just got him.
Where was he getting the pills?
He had been making monthly trips to Florida.
To Florida?
To Pain Clinic in West Palm Beach.
Just days after another pill run to Florida last August, Jason Davis overdosed.
I went up apartment. Detective was in the yard, and he said, "Are you the mom?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "You can't go in there." I said, "You can't see him like that."
Lives have been destroyed.
Davis has found comfort in a group of victims' family members.
But today we have hope.
They've pushed successfully for stricter prescription drug controls in Ohio.
Once you are gone forever.
And in Florida, the crackdown on prescription drug abuses has gone from the clinic to the classroom. On average, kids are believed to begin sampling prescription drugs starting at age 13.
They will either take it out of the medicine cabinet or buy some on the street.
Rick Bradshaw is the Palm Beach County Sheriff.
And then they have a party. And when they go in, the admission to the party is a big bowl, and they just drop pills in the bowl. And anytime during this party, you can go over and get a couple pills and take them. You know, of course, there's alcohol there. But the end result is there's a chemical reaction between those two pills and that alcohol. If they're lucky, they will fall in a spot where they can breathe. More times than not, they don't, and in about 3 minutes, they're dead. And that's the overdose death from prescription medication.
Karen Perry lost her oldest son, Richard, to a drug overdose in 2003. She visits him every day in the small cemetery across the street from her home.
I can tell you, there's nothing worse than losing a child.
In her son's memory, Perry founded the Narcotics Overdose Prevention Task Force, traveling the state to share a story that never gets easier to tell.
The deputies came in and they simply said to us at 2 o'clock in the morning, "He's dead, and there's not a day goes by that I don't miss my son."
In the 7 years since she started, Perry's lessons have seemed to hit home. Prescription drug abuse among Florida teens is finally on the decline.
Up the other right, remain silent.
And just getting illegal pills in Florida could soon be a lot tougher. Starting tomorrow, pharmacists can tap into a brand new statewide drug database designed to track the most addictive painkillers. It's a start, cops say, but only that.
Do you feel like you're chipping away at it?
Barely.
Barely.
Barely. There's a lot of efforts being made, and there's a lot of people dedicated or working hard every single day to try and make a dent in it. But we got a ways to go.